Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Learn Java for Complete Beginners. In this episode we will cover classes, objects, the this keyword, the static keyword for variables and methods, and also constructor methods. Scope will be covered in a later episode. Starting with a class. A class is quite literally just a bunch of data all bundled together to describe something bigger. Think of it as an outline or a template to create objects from. A class can contain any number of variables of different types, and even other objects and classes. It can also define methods which individual objects can use to manipulate data. An object is the individual instantiation of that class. It's the template, but instantiated with a name and some values. I have a small graphic here for you which highlights the use of a class. Here we can see we have a individual class at the top. Let's say this class is called person. And it outlines they need a head, a body, some legs and some arms to qualify to meet this class. All these objects are different instantiations of this class. They all have the same head, eyes, mouth, body, legs, arms, but they're all different colours and instantiated slightly differently. This one would likely take a body colour of purple. This one would likely take a body colour of orange, and this one yellow. The same for the heads, they're all instantiated differently. This allows us to take a template such as the person class, use it multiple times to instantiate really useful bundles of data to describe bigger objects. So let's create a class that would create this person object here and try and create each one of these objects in that class. So if we go into our project here, this is just a brand new project, nothing special, nothing we haven't seen before. And what we want to do is go into the project window here, right click, source, new Java class. We're going to call this person, and we are going to start off with a blank class like this. This is how a class is defined, just like this. You can make private classes within other classes, like nested classes. Useful in some instances, but we'll get onto those later. This is how we're going to define this class for right now. So let's start off with doing the head here in this class. So we're going to go string head. We are going to say string eyes, string body, string legs, and string arms. These are all set as strings, so it's easier later on to show differences and just demonstrate how objects work. So that's why we're having them as strings here. Currently this doesn't mean anything, so let's make it mean something. For that we're going to need a constructor. A constructor is like a method or a function that you've seen before. It's instantiated like this, with the class name, some regular brackets and some curly brackets like so. This identifies this as the constructor. What tends to happen in here is we take in particular variables that are relevant to that very individual object. So let's do that now. So if we say string head, string eyes, string body, string legs, and string arms, like so. So we're going to take in that. What this does is when we instantiate this particular class as an object, we define it and it will take these parameters before it can be defined. What we now need to do is set that up so when this is called, which this is called every single time an object is instantiated, when this is called, it sets these variables to the ones we pass in. To do that, we're going to look at something we've not done before called the this keyword. I will explain this in just a moment. Let me quickly type out all this code first, and then we can discuss and break down what's going on here. So if we say this dot eyes is eyes, I'm going to do the same for all these variables like this. This dot body equals body. This dot legs equals legs, and this dot arms equals arms finally. Okay then. Let's break down what's been typed out here. So we have all these variables. These are all contained within a person class. This constructor takes in a bunch of variables and then sets these particular variables within the class to those parameters we've taken in. So what does the this keyword mean? Well, if we head back to our example here, in this example we can clearly see that there is one class which works as a template, and then in each object is different. They're all the same template, they're all made from the same thing, however they're all slightly different. The this keyword means this object, so it is saying that for this particular object that we're instantiating, this instance of person object set this person's head to the head we are bringing in here. As you can see, this person's head of this particular object set it to head. This brings me nicely onto static variables. Now, unlike the this keyword, static variables do kind of the opposite and make the variable related to the class. We type this out. So, what does this mean then? If we have an integer here, height in centimeters, and we're setting it to equal to 170, and that's static, what does that actually mean? Well, if we go ahead and look in here, that means that the height in centimeters is related to the class rather than any individual object. What that means is if a static variable is changed in one of these objects, for example object 1, if we increase his height in centimeters by 10, let's say he gets slightly bigger, like so, everybody else will also get slightly bigger because the static variable isn't modified on the object, it's modified on the class. So what actually happens is this guy grows by 10, and then everyone grows by 10. So that's kind of how that works. So if we wanted to instantiate this class, let's have a look how that works. Firstly, let's give them all a name as well, something they probably also want. And let's take it in here. Name, like so. You can add whatever you want in here, age, kind of shoe size, whatever you might want to describe this bit of data, what is relevant to you at the time. Again, for the name we need to add that in here, like so. So let's go ahead and instantiate one of these person objects. So to do that, we type the class name person, give it a name. This could be that, it could also be something more meaningful like person, or what I'm going to do is call it by the thing we've called it in here, which is object 1. So let's do that. So person object 1 equals new, the new keyword, person. What this does is, if you remember, it instantiates this person class, and it also calls this constructor. So when it's calling this constructor, it obviously needs parameters. So the first parameter is name. We will call this person, let's call them John. And let's see, what else have we got in here? We have head, eyes, so that his head in here, let's see, is blue. So we'll say blue for his head. His eyes are red, like so. His body is, purple. His legs are green, and his arms are brown. Let's just double check that's okay. Yep, perfect. Okay. Next, we want to instantiate the other person. So person, object, this time 2. Let's see this person. This person's got grey head, orange body. So again, we're instantiating the same one. Let's call this one Mary. Why not? Their head is grey, if I'm not wrong. Grey, orange. Grey, orange. Oh no, that's their eyes, sorry. Here we go, that's purple eyes. Their body is orange. Legs are lilac. And their arms are blue. And then finally we're going to instantiate person 3. Person object 3 equals new person let's call this one Timothy, because why not? His head is green, his eyes are brown, his body is yellow, legs is purple, and the arms is brown as well, I think. Yep, brown, like so. Now what we can do is go ahead and ensure that's right. What you come, oh, okay, see, we've named it object 2, it's actually object 3. Now what we've done here is essentially modeled this whole thing in code. We have a class called person. We have defined all the data we'd want to know about that. You can assign more, but you can assign like age, foot size, whether they're smiling or not, all these kind of things to describe that particular object. So if we go in here and we wanted to say, for example, object 1 dot name, and then we run this, we should get the name John, because that's what we've instantiated it as. John, there we go. And again, if we do that here and here, but we say head and arms, it should print out. He's got John, he has a blue head and brown arms. Okay, cool. So we know we've instantiated these correctly, and awesome. Next, let's cover some useful methods that you might want to kind of go ahead and create. So, like I said earlier, a class is just an amalgamation of data all added together, and in there you can have particular methods related to the class. Okay, so let's create one called public string, and we will say this. We will call this describe person, like so. Okay, so let's see what this is going to do. What we want to do is return a description of the person based on the object. So to do that, we're just going to do return, like we've seen before in the functions. This person is called space name, comma, their head is head with eyes, comma, something, body, body. Let's put that below here. Comma space, legs, and arms. Arms, like so. Let's add a semicolon on the end there. Why is this complaining? Because I missed a plus. Okay, cool. So what this should say is this person is called, give their name, their head is, give their head color with whatever color their eyes are, color body, color legs, and color arms. Hopefully this works. Let's try that out by calling that particular method from an object here we have. So if we take a look at our example again, we have object 1. This guy's name is John, and we're expecting it to describe him with a blue face, red eyes, purple body, green legs, brown arms. Let's see if it does that. Okay, so if we system.out.println, so he's object 1 dot describe person, like so. If we run this, hopefully we can see the full description. Yes, this person is called John. The head is blue with red eyes, a purple body, green legs, and brown arms. Let's just alter that. So, purple body. Where is the body? Body, like that. So, space there. Let's run that again so it's nice and grammatically correct. This person is called John. The head is blue with red eyes, a purple body, green legs, and brown arms. That perfectly describes John. Let's see this one then. System.out.println. We're going to do object 2 again. So that's Mary, I believe. And then the same again for Timothy on the last one. Object 3 here. And we should get a description of each of these people. Yeah, Mary, the head is grey with purple eyes. Let's just double check that's right. Head is grey with purple eyes, yeah. And Timothy, the head is green with brown eyes. There we go. And that is the use of doing these kind of methods in the class. It allows you to do cool things to manipulate the data in the way you want. And it's all bundled together nicely to describe. The next thing I'm going to cover is static methods. Now, if you remember earlier, we added this static integer here, height in centimeters 170, and I said it was class specific rather than individual object specific. To demonstrate that, I'm going to add it into our describe person statement here. So if I say they stand at plus height in centimeters plus centimeters tall, like so, that should, if we click run here, print out for all of them like that. As you can see, we've set it once in here, and all of them have that same height. That doesn't really say much at the minute, but let's see how this static method works, and you can then see this static integer also changing alongside it. So a static method works similar to a static variable in the fact that it's class specific. So if we do a public static void like so, increase height like that. So what this method is going to do is increase the height of everyone basically, just by saying let's say height in centimeters plus equals 10, like so. This will increase all objects height in centimeters by 10, and hopefully we can see that happening in here. If it's a static method, like so, that means you don't need to instantiate an object to use it on that object. Describe person needs an object to be used. This doesn't. So what we can do in here is we can say person dot increase height, like so, and then we can do the same print and see the difference. So let's give that a run, and there you have it. They all now stand at 180 centimeters tall. To demonstrate this further, what I'm going to do is create a change color method. So let's call it change head color. It's going to take in a string, public void change head color. It's going to take in a string, and it's going to be called color, like that. We are then going to go in here, and we are going to say this dot head equals color, like so. Now this should also demonstrate the difference, because this changes the head color and this changes the height. However, this will change only the head color of the particular object we use it on. So let's go ahead and have a look at that. So if we change the person's head's color, let's say Mary, her head's currently grey, so it's object 2, she's object 2. We can say dot change head color, and we can give her a new head color. Let's say that is red, and let's again print this out to see that Mary should have now, her head before was grey, it should be grey twice, she should be 170 centimeters tall, and the head is red. There it is. But everyone else is still their original color. That's kind of the difference between using something on a class and using it on the object itself, and that's how static variables and methods work. I believe that is all for this overview in classes and objects. I think we've covered quite a lot in quite a short space of time, and hopefully this easily describes to you the difference between static and non-static variables. Hopefully it also describes how to instantiate objects quite clearly. Just for a quick little show, this could be called anything, don't forget, so this could be called John, and then it would just be John dot, for example, describe person. In here, this is just the name, the same as you naming a variable. Doesn't have to be called object, but yeah, that's everything covered here today. With this knowledge, you're able to now move on to a larger project. If you're interested in looking at doing something a little bit more fancy, take a look at my snake game walkthrough. The link will be in the description. If you've mastered everything I've taught up to now, you should be able to at least follow along and hopefully learn some stuff. There's a few more concepts in there that won't be covered in this beginner's course, but I will be doing a Java Swing course later on, which will eventually cover those topics, and they're also covered in the video on the walkthrough anyway, so if you're feeling like you're up for a challenge, go ahead and watch that. Don't forget to like and subscribe to not miss out on the next episode. See you guys in the next one.